Hello, my name is Anggraeni Mulyana. My student identification number is 211000051. Right now, I will present to you the criminal case of Anupariha. Widjanarto defines a criminal act as an act prohibited by legal rules which conducted with threats or penalties in a particular criminal act for whoever violates the prohibition. Cambridge Dictionary defines murder as the crime of intentionally killing a person. Article 285 of the National Code defines rape as any person who uses force or threat of force to force a woman to have sexual intercourse with him outside of marriage. Meanwhile, the Cambridge Dictionary defines rape in noun as the crime of forcefully having sex with someone against their wishes. As for the verb, rape is to force someone to have sex when they are unwilling, using violence or threatening behavior. As for the reason I chose this case was because this case was the first case I watched on TV and I was intrigued by it, so I had to drown myself more in this case. Chronology of Anupariha case. On May 12, 2016 at 11 p.m. in Anna's room, Era embraced Anna for about 30 minutes and then Ra began to undress her to have intercourse. Anna balked at his request and refused, fearing that she might get pregnant. Ra took her answer poorly and immediately stormed up the dormitory, leaving his girlfriend alone. Nevertheless, Ra had not left the residential grounds. He had walked out into the streets between the female-only and the male-only dormitories. At 12:30 a.m., Ra was approached by Rahmat Arifin and Imam Hapriyadi. Ra had never met them before, but the trio hit it off immediately. Rahmat and Imam did not realize that Ra was referring to Anna when the latter spoke of his girlfriend. The conversation escalated to the point that the two factory workers started to provoke Ra to rape her. There's no way that she'll be your girlfriend in the future anyway. The trio returned to the dormitory and went inside Anna's room. The trio found her asleep on her bed. Upon seeing Anna's face, the two factory men realized they knew her too well. Both had made advances toward her, but always get rejected. Allegedly, Anna had always called Rahmat Arifin ugly whenever they crossed paths, while Imam's text messages and calls would always get ignored. As they stared at her, sleeping vulnerably on the bed, emotions of jealousy, anger, and hatred began to bubble up in them. Imam immediately started smothering Anna with a pillow and ordered Anna to look for a kitchen knife. Failing to find a kitchen knife, Anna picked up a gardening hoe. When he returned to the room, Rahmat Arifin was pinning down her legs. Imam then ordered Anna to hit Anna with a gardening hoe. The boy carried out the instruction obediently. But at first sight of the blood, he was so unsettled that he dropped the tool and left the room for a breather. The torture and Rahmat Arifin started to rape her, and upon finishing, Imam continued to scrape Anna's face with a dining fork he had brought from home. Era re-entered the room in time to see Imam covering Anna's face with blood-soaked linen and repositioning her limbs into an even more precise position. but not because he changed his heart and decided to save his girlfriend before she succumbed to her injuries. Instead, Era beat her left breast until it left an imprint of his teeth. Rahmat Arifin then inserted the rod of the gardening hoe into Anna's vagina and kicked it into her body. 90% of the gardening hoe was forced into her body, rupturing most of her vital organs, including her lungs, stomach, and heart. Due to the force of the kick, Era was sprayed with the victim's blood. The three men then covered her body with pillows and blankets and washed their hands before fleeing the scene. Rahmat Arifin padlocked the victim's room from the outside and threw the key back into the room through ventilation. And it would only be found a day after by the co-workers into her room out of concern over her not turning up for work. There's a photo of Anna Fariha's X-ray torso showing how far the hole went. There's also the murder weapon, the gardening hoe. From the discoloring of the handle, it can be seen how far it went inside Anna Fariha's body. There are legal facts. The first is the victims worked at PT Polita Global Mandiri more or less than 6 months. The second one is for 3 months, the victim lived in the Polita Global Mandiri Women's Mess and the same room as Tikroh and Hurairoh in room number 7. On Friday, May 13, 2016, the victim and Fariha got the day shift of work while the victim's roommate got the night shift. The last time the witness Hurairoh met the victim at the shift changes. The witnesses Tikroh, Hurairoh, and Kartikasari know Rahmat Arifin because they live next door to Petapolita's Women Mass Global Mandiri and work at Petapolita Global Mandiri, but they don't recognize Imam Habriyadi. On Friday, May 13, 2016 at 8 Western Indonesian time, when the witness Tikroh, the victim's roommate, came from work and saw the door to room number 7 was locked from the outside. Seeing the bedroom door locked from the outside, witness Tikroh called the victim because the witness Tikroh could not contact the victim. The witness asked for help from the HRD section of Petapolita Global Mandiri. The company's security, Yaya Jahidi, broke down the bedroom door and saw the victim. Anna Fariha had died covered with Tikroh's clothes while the victim's thigh was bleeding. There are 4 people involved in this case. The first one is the victim, Anna Fariha. She was 19 years old. The second person is Rahmat Alim, which was referred as RA. He was 16 years old and one of the defendants, and he's the one who was underage. The second defendant is Rahmat Arifin. He was 24 years old, and the last one was Imam Habriyadi, who also in his 24 years old. The crime scene takes scene in female dormitories of PT Polita Global Mandiri in Jati Mulia Village, Kusambi, Tangerang District, Banten Province, Indonesia. The verdict for Rahmat Arifin was Article 340 of Criminal Code in conjunction with Article 55, Paragraph 1, Number 1 of Criminal Code and Article 285 of Criminal Code with capital punishment. Imam Habriyadi was sentenced by Article 340 of Criminal Code in conjunction with Article 55, Paragraph 1, Number 1 of Criminal Code. As for Rahmat Alim, or ERA, the consideration of imposing a sentence of 10 years in prison is based on Law Number 11 of 2012 concerning the juvenile criminal justice system. Article 340 of Criminal Code person who, with deliberate intent and with premeditation, takes the life of another person shall, being guilty of murder, be punished by capital punishment or life imprisonment or a maximum imprisonment of 20 years. Article 285. Any person who, by using force or threat of force, forces a woman to have sexual intercourse with him out of marriage, shall, being guilty of rape, shall be punished with maximum imprisonment of 12 years. Article 55, paragraph 1. As principles of a punishable act shall be punished, first those who perpetrate, cause others to perpetrate, or take a direct part in the execution of the act. Imam Hapriyadi and Rahmat Arifin when appealed. The appeal request filed by the defendant's consultant and the public prosecutor is still within the grace period. According to the procedures and the conditions determined by the law, the High Court can accept the request for appeal. The defendant's sentenced to remain in detention. Cassation. The Supreme Court could not justify the reason for the defendant's cassation request because Judex Facti did not misuse the law in the adjudication defendant's case. The decision has considered the facts legally and correctly according to the legal facts revealed before the court based on evidence lawfully filed under the provision of the law so that the defendant did materially has fulfilled all the elements of the crime of Article 340 of the Criminal Code in conjunction with Article 55, Paragraph 1, Number 1 of the Criminal Code and Article 285 of the Criminal Code for Rahmat Arifin. As for Imam Hapriyadi, the defendant did materially has fulfilled all the elements of the crime of Article 340 of the Criminal Code in conjunction with Article 55, Paragraph 1, Number 1 of the Criminal Code. However, the death penalty inflicted by Judex Facti on the defendant is not proper. The application of the death penalty, in essence, is contrary to the basic norms of Pancasila and the state of a person's fundamental right to life guaranteed by the 1945 Constitution. Correcting the decision of the Banten High Court number 15 and 16 in appeal on April 6, 2017, upheld the Tangerang District Court decision number 1769 and 70 Pidana Biasa 2016 Pengadilan Negeri Tangerang on February 8, 2017 regarding the sentence line charged in appeal. Rahmat Arifin and Imam Hapriyadi were sentenced to life imprisonment. I agree with the life imprisonment sentence. Life imprisonment maintains a relation to a mental health condition for one to feel guilt after what one has done. and to contemplate the life decision one has made to become that certain someone. The High Court also reconsidered capital punishment because it is against our norms of Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution, which I deeply respect. Thank you for watching.